Greetings and salutations, race fans, and in particular Dakar fans, and welcome to Raceday.tv. Welcome to our take on Dakar 2020. My name is Colin. I'm joined by Gary and the crew. And where's the time gone? 6 o'clock today, South African time, has arrived super fast. So over the next 2 weeks, I've got to have my notes from our production department with me. Over the next 2 weeks, we're going to bring you some insights, some stories behind the scenes, some news, and our interpretation of Dakar 2020. It's an interactive show, and part of the idea of the interaction is we need your help. So if you have any questions, any comments, any queries, anything that you'd like to know, write it down in the comments button. Don't forget to press the like thing, and if you press the alarm, I believe there's a little bell, Gary.
That's right.
Press the alarm, the bell button thingy, and next time we go live, you'll be there. So, Dakar 2020. What is it all about? Well, it's the beginning of chapter 3. Let's go back to history of Dakar, Paris to Dakar, off-road race through top end of Africa, a long, hot, dangerous, guns, camels, lots and lots of sand. A different era and a different level of competition. Virtually anything went at the time, and a number of different kinds of cars finished it. With the rise of the number of guns in North Africa, not such a good idea to have a race, particularly when race cars get captured, get hijacked, and get held to ransom. So then Dakar, that was the end of chapter 1. Chapter 2 started in South America. Millions, over 100 million proper race car fans in South America. It was fever. The streets were lined with people. It was a true bringing racing to the people in South America. Great different levels of terrain, different scenery. It was all new, different languages from going, it was into Portuguese, into Spanish. It was a very interesting time. That ran its course, and then what next? Where do we go to Dakar? And the Saudi Arabian government came to the party, and there's a long-term deal for chapter 3, the new beginning, the new dawn of Dakar, the race that we know so well, the race that we love, the race that we've fallen in love with. And it's different terrain, it's unknown, largely unknown terrain. So this is the first one, and there are a lot of nervous people before the race started. The other thing that is new are the time zones. So the race is finished, it's done and dusted. Previous years, the last 10 years or so, at this time of night, we're still waiting anxiously for cars to come in and not knowing who's doing what the final results are going to be. But they started racing early this morning, so there's another change for us. So we've got a change in country, a change in language. Everything is new. They're new cars, and it's absolutely fantastic. So what happened to that? Well, before we go into what happened, let's have a look through into some of what we've got, what is built of the race. 68 nationalities. There's 107 French teams, 28 South African Toyota built cars, 28 of these cars, 2 VW Amaroks from WCT Engineering, a Century. That's an interesting car. We're going to follow that. And there's 12 competitors that, from a Southern African point of view, that we're going to follow, maybe not every night, but we're going to try and look at interesting stories behind them. I'm going to run through them very quickly for you. Janelle de Villiers, Alex Harrow, Matthew Serradori, and Fabien Lequin in the Century. Those are the ones, that car, very interesting. We'll talk about that later. Then there are 2 Nissans, Terence Marsh's Redline operation, that he's built those vehicles. So that's Thomas Bell, Patrick McMurran, and then Henny de Klerk and Johan Smallberger, also in the Nissan. We want to look at Cyril Dupre and Michael Horn in the side-by-sides. And there's another twist to the side-by-sides is in that WCT, Stuart Thompson. They building those vehicles in South Africa to exactly the same design. On the bikes, we've had traditionally more South Africans in the bike. So we're going to look at Ross Branch from Botswana, Oren Maria, Stuart Gregory, Kirsten Landman, and Tay Perry. They are the first two South African women to compete in Dakar. Not the first African woman, but they are the first two South African women. They are rookies. Then Wessel Bosman on his Husqvarna and Graham Sharp. Wessel Bosman, he's in the Motul original section. Absolutely, completely crazy. So, those are the teams that we're going to follow. I also want to have a look at the Borgward and see where that goes. Car 301, Danny Roma in the Borgward coming out of the minis. So what is this race? You've got an energy drink race. You've got Red Bull and Monster having huge fights and say within the energy drinks. And then in the teams, you've got defending champion Nasser Al Attiyah and Matthew Baumel in the Gazoo Racing Toyota built in Joburg. The other interesting one is Fernando Alonso also in the Toyota. So that's going to be fantastic things. You've got basically it's a Toyota versus Mini. And Toyota have got the absolute latest, 4 of the top latest, trickiest, most beautiful brand new development of the Toyota Hilux in the race. Mini, what has Mini done? They've got 2 different vehicles. They've got the four-wheel drive vehicle that they've always run, and they've got the buggy that they are running. So it's going to be a wonderful battle. And it turned out to be a great battle today. Stage 1, 752 kilometers total stages, 319 Ks of racing. And they ended up, at the end, with around about a 300 kilometer liaison to the bivouac. So if there are any questions, we've got an interesting guest on the line. There's a whole lot of tech stuff that we're busy trying at the moment, which is quite interesting.
I'm looking so forward to this part.
Gary, when it works, it's going to be absolutely magnificent. So we've got stuff here, we've got stuff over there, we've got a control room happening, we've got your comments that we're waiting to listen to. So let's stage 1. It was about sand, it was rocks. But before we go any further, our tech guys seem to have a bit of a breakthrough. We've got Terence Marsh, the main man from Redline Motorsport, the guy he's over there looking after Thomas Bell, Patrick McMurran, and Henny de Klerk. Terence, I can see you on the picture there. It's dark there already. Well done on getting 2 of your Redline Nissan Navaras to the finish line. Give us some interesting stuff. How's it going in Saudi? It comes and goes. There he is. There's Terence. Terence, interesting day for you guys over there. We've got you.
Yeah, you got me. Good stuff. It's not stuff today. It's very cold in the Bavaria. Really, really cold. But all good.
I'll tell you what, Terence, it's I think there's a bit of breakage on the feed over there. I'm going to ask Fritz to see if he can try and hook up a better link with you. Now you're back. I see you back there. Terence, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah, we've got you now, Terence. Signal comes and goes.
Yeah, I can hear you guys, I don't think it's connected great.
Terence, tell us about your day. You just go. If you can't hear us, just go, Terence, and you talk.
Yeah, it's a tough day. They feel a really tough day because the guys started Dakar. A really tough one, you know. The first week is when they released as many as the competitors, I think, out of the Dakar. We got cars home. So, all is good.
Okay, so we're really battling with the link over there. Fritz, I think what we do, the bottom line of it, is that they built these cars, they were brand new cars, they tested them. They took them over to the race and they got them home. We do know that there were a couple of issues, and I'm just going back down here. Thomas Bell and Patrick McMurran came home in 35th. They were 54 minutes off the lead, and then Henny de Klerk and Johan Smallberger, they were in 58th. They about an hour 39 off the lead, and they lost about 45 minutes to an hour near the end. We don't know why, and that was our call to Terence to see why it is. Just to recap, you watching the Raceday.tv take on Dakar 2020. If you've got any questions, any comments, please write them in the comments thing. Gary, we're on YouTube at the moment, so Gary's watching the YouTube, the chat room on YouTube. Any comments there will come through. Let me give you the results. And first of all, brace yourself, because the word of the day is surprise on a whole number of things. Vaidatos Zala, you haven't heard of him, he's a Lithuanian. And Saulius Jurgelena in a Mini, an old Mini. Well, previous generation Mini, but completely up to date and probably brand new, coming out of the Quant organization. The four-wheel drive Mini. Second, Stefan Peter Hansel and Paolo Fiuza, all in a Mini buggy. Third, Carlos Sainz, Lucas Cruz in what? A Mini buggy. And then fourth was Nasser Al-Attiyah, Matthew Baumel in a Toyota, and we're going to talk about the Toyotas just now. They had a whole lot of issues. Fifth was Bernard ten Brink and Tom Colsall, also in a Toyota, and then here's my surprise. Sixth overall, car 315, 6 minutes and 55 seconds behind the winning Winnie was Mathieu Serradori and Fabien Lequin in the Century Racing built buggy. Absolutely, it's a giant killing performance that, 6th on stage 1. Other cars of interest. It is a beautiful car. It's got a rear-wheel drive, big V8, designed and built in Joburg, carbon fiber body. It is, the guys are over there, and we are who've done all the development on it, and we will get to talk to them during the stage. We trying a whole lot of new, or during the races, we're trying a whole lot of new technical things. We've got video links and video calls, and sometimes technical gremlins creep in and screw us over. Couple of names you haven't heard us talk about. In 11th place, Fernando Alonso, Mark Comer, 15 minutes off the win. Janelle de Villiers and Alex Harrow in the Toyota. Let's talk about the Toyotas and what happened there, the course of the day. They came out of the blocks and they were flying. Nasser was completely just dominating. And between the four cars, they had 11 punches. 11, we know that the stage was very rocky, but for one team to be stricken like that, you can see there's one of them. Now they carry 2 wheels. Each car carries 2 spare wheels. So there would have been a lot of swapping and changing of spare wheels, but between 4 cars, 11 punches, there's something strange over there. The picture you see there now is one of the side-by-sides with a spare wheel on the back. The Nissans have their spare wheels just in front. They're on the sides of the car, just in front of the rear wheels. So Janelle de Villiers is 23 minutes off the lead, and he was my dark horse of the race. An excellent pick. I haven't seen Janelle looking this lean and mean and determined for a long, long time. But it's day one. There's 5,000 racing kilometers left. So I fully expect Janelle to get going. You might think that 11th, Fernando Alonso, is a surprise, but 2 punches. I'm not surprised that he's there. I fully expect him to be in the top 10 during the stages. So Nani Roma was 16th in the Borgward. That's one of my cars that I'm actually looking forward to. And then, as I mentioned, Thomas, there's the Borgward. Now this is Borgward. You will remember the names from those of you from years ago. The name has been resurrected in Germany, and the Borgward production cars are actually built in China. This is the Borgward Evo that they're running, and I just love the name Borgward. It just has lots of history for it. I did mention 35th. was Thomas Bell, Patrick McMurran, and Henny de Klerk, and Johan Smallberger. And we like mentioning the co-driver's name as well, because and we'll call them co-drivers as opposed to navigators, because it's a difficult job driving Dakar. The driver, the pilot, is primarily concerned with keeping the car on the road, and the co-driver manages the environment and manages the communications and with race officials, and also within the car, and getting the car to the various points. Over the next few days, we will look at the road book and what they've got to do, and also some of the interesting rules. One of the new rules is that in the car, you always used to be able to have phones, and then smartphones came along. And the rule was you're not allowed to use any other navigational device other than the devices provided by the organizers. That rule, some say, it is alleged, was bypassed by some teams, and it is said that some guys had a little bit more external communications than others. So the rule now is you can have a phone in the car, but it goes into a little box, into a little black box. The little black box gets sealed, and from the start of the stage to the end of the stage, if you take the phone out of the little black box, you've got some major penalties and some major explaining to do, other than for an emergency and in exceptional circumstances. So let's go to the bikes, because we've got a large South African contingent in the bikes. Toby Price, winner. Started off how he ended last year. That's absolutely fantastic. And then 14th position, bike number 18, Ross Branch. We're going to claim him as a Southern African because he's from Botswana. 10 minutes, 25 seconds behind in 14th position. 35th position was Oren Murray on a Honda. And then, surprise, surprise, 73rd, Tay Perry on her debut, bike number 120. Had an absolutely, she started, I think, well, clearly she started in 120th position, right, Gary, yeah. Because it's not difficult to work out what the positions they start in, because that's how they get going. 117, Kirsten Luntman had a very interesting run as well. She was an hour 47 just behind, and she was 3 minutes behind number 142, Graham Sharp. But Kirsten sent us some interesting, sent Gary, in fact, Gary's got connections like you can't believe, sent Gary an interesting video on, I think we've got one on Fritz about nutrition. I think that was the latest one that we got, and then the other one after the race. So shall we do this? And here, the magic of electronic communications. We're going to start with the one after a race, and then we're going to go into food, because it's about food time on a Sunday. So here's Kirsty Lontman talking us through her stage.
Hey, so I've just got back into the pits. My day was good. The pace was fast. I mean, guys are going really fast. I'm sitting at a pace that I'm comfortable at. I'm here to finish, and I'm not here to take chances, and I'm not going to do anything where I'm not comfortable in riding at. So just taking it kilometer by kilometer, and my goal is to finish shape being one piece. And yeah, I did that today. Day one done, and yeah, it was good. Tomorrow's another day.
Properly hot. It's so blooming nice to see a sensible attitude. It's day one. We've got 2 weeks. We've got about 4,000 something odd kilometers. Gary, you had some people watching on YouTube. Who we got there?
Yeah, we got Peter Bell. He's online. He's joined us. Says hi, Colin. Hi, Gary. Thanks for putting this together. Dave Kent says hello to us, and then we have Sid. I'm going to get it wrong, and I do apologize. Swadaha Madhu says thanks for the show, guys, and then Jan Stradum, Tel Aviv in the house.
Lovely stuff. And I see you've also got Sparky Bright, the tallest guy in PE.
Yeah.
On there. How's it, Sparky? Thanks for joining us. And remember, we're on YouTube. If you've got comments, let us know. So there you get an idea of Kirsty. She's just come out of the stage. She sends us the information. You can see how hot she is. And the thing with Dakar, it's 2 weeks. There's a rest day. And the Dakar organizers are actually cruel. They understand fully the meaning and the implications of exhaustion combined with sleep deprivation. And we're going to see some very, very drawn faces as time goes on and as the sleep and the long liaison stages. You know, sitting, doing 300, you've just come out of what was today's stage. They were racing for 319 Ks. And your body's being battered around, and then you've got around about a 300 kilometer liaison on your back. And to sit on the back, and for sure the bum does get sore. So you'll see them assuming it was side saddle, all sorts of crazy positions. Legs are tired because they've been spending most of the day on the bike. So did we mention that Wessel Bosman was in the Motul Originals on his Husqvarna in Pepper? We love Husqvarnas. He was 3 hours 28 behind Toby Price. Now let's put that 3 hours 28 behind Toby Price. Did I mention that Toby Price took 3 hours 21 to do the whole stage? In contrast, so Toby works hard for 3 hours 21.
Yeah.
Wessel works hard for 6 hours 49.
Yo.
And then he gets to the pits, to the bivouac. Toby goes off and has a drink and a massage and a chit-chat and all the rest of it, and a shower and a meal, and Wessel is still pinning it. And Toby gives his bike over, which is completely fair, as factory drivers do, to the team. And Wessel comes in and he's got to sort his own food. And the thing with the Motul Originals, they used to call them Mali Moto. I prefer that because in South African language you'll understand this, they are completely mull. So it's Mali Moto. You've got all your kit is in a again,
like a trommel.
It's a trommel.
Yeah.
So I was looking for a big box, a tin box, a trommel. We all know what that is. And you've got to repair the bike, fix yourself, feed yourself, look after yourself, and all those other stuff. One of the things when we get talking to Terence Marsh's, Terence is a toilet expert, and that he rates toilets in different ways, and toilets are very, very important in Dakar. And Terence rates the toilets of Dakar, and one hoped that the Saudi toilets might be better than some of the bomb holes of South America. You can just imagine poo flying early o'clock in the morning. Then, hey, we're not going to get there. We're also trying to get hold of Stuart Thompson and see if we can have a chat with Stuart Thompson. Lucky boy, Stuart is close to Salt Rock, having a few vitamin drinks, and the technical guys are working on it hard. Where were we? Ignacio Casali starts off where he finishes off. Yes, Gary, what you got?
When Sparky Bright says to us, he says, well done to Aaron Murray. He's a PE boy, and he cut his teeth at the Rover Raceway. So this is a bit of up down. He came in
35th position.
35th, yeah.
I haven't got the time with me. Our production department the guys spent the whole day setting up here. And I just got to say, huge shout out to Henk and to Fritz in his lovely To Be Gusto blue shirt in the control room, in the soundproof control room. It's looking very, very good. And also to our catering department who managed to bring some of the world's finest sugar-coated foods to us. Ignacio Casali wins the quads. And then we get to the side-by-sides. And this is probably one of the big futures of rally raid and cross-country racing, and particularly where in South Africa, where we go to in the South African cross-country series. And one of the things that we are big on is cross-country racing, and we will be looking forward to the South African cross-country racing series this year. Side-by-sides are, you will know them, they're typically Can-Ams and things like that. Constant CVT gearboxes, 900 turbo engines, and they look like toys, but they go like stink. And they are lighter than the race trucks. And to put things into context, if they were all racing in one class, a side-by-side, you've got an indication of the side-by-sides. Stuart Thompson is building these. The idea is to take a relatively standard vehicle and the chassis are built mainly for recreation, and the FIA requires fuel tanks and other stuff, so you build a proper chassis into it with all the right kind of safety equipment into it, and then you go racing with them. So they're lighter, they're cheaper, and they are quite faster as well. Last year, a side-by-side finished 9th overall in Dakar. 9th overall. Today, Aaron Domzala and Mashik Mato in a Can-Am were finished in 4 hours. Cyril Dupre, Michael Horn, they were 24th. They're in an OT3, which is an overdrive vehicle, and there's a whole lot of discussion about have overdrive bent the rules a little bit too much, or are they playing nicely? Michael Horn, the adventurer, they pulled him off the ice. You're walking in the North Pole.
Yeah, he's doing a circumnavigating the world via the poles.
Yeah, well, he finished so he's not Polish, hey? No, he's South African. So he finished that, they got him off the ice, so he goes from the ice to the desert. Also a little bit completely loopy. So winner in side-by-side was 4 hours, which gives him about 40 minutes behind the winner of the rally. So that really is Conrad Rotenbach and Pedro Prata in a PH Sport. They were 25 minutes off 11th position in their side-by-side as well. Casey Curry, Sean Berryman in a Can-Am. These are the same vehicles that are being built here. They were second, 1 minute and 51 seconds behind. So 1 minute after just over 4 hours racing is not too bad at all. That kind of brings us to the end of today. What happened today? What's happening at the moment, and we've got to see a map about what's going to happen tomorrow. So there's our stage 4. No, that was today, man. Oh, the communication here. So we went from Jeddah to Al Wajih. Tomorrow, we go from Al Wajih to Neom. And you'll see the green line is where the assistance vehicles go, and the red line is the racing side. So there's a park firm. Tomorrow is also the first day on bikes and quads. It's their super marathon day. So you'll see the Park Ferme at the end of tomorrow. It's a total of 393 kilos with 361 Ks of racing. So there's more racing tomorrow than there was today, but there's around about 300 and something odd kilometers, or 360 kilometers less in total distance that they drive, so less liaison. So the bikes and quads will go into Park Ferme, and they are not allowed to have any external assistance. So the only work that they can have done on their vehicles will be with the tools and equipment that they carry, or that some of the competitors carry. So you'll see on some of the bikes, how shall we put it? The donkeys, they call them.
Yeah.
They'll be running with tires, and they will run very slowly so that they can give a relatively unworn tire over through to the top guys. The quads will carry extra tires, and everybody will be laden down with a little bit of extra spares. So you cannot bring anything into the Park Ferme, and it's going to be quite an interesting how it's split now, so that you've got a marathon stage early in the beginning. And one of the comments that came from the bivouac today was that day one is the organizers, and it might be a little bit, the organizers throw the whole bus at you in day one with the idea, and cynically I'm going to say, it's easier to manage a race when there are fewer competitors in it. So early on in the rally, if you put the bikes and quads into a super hard marathon and some of them fall out, you've got less to manage as you go forward. So one of the sad things, and I've just got to go back to my notes, and thank you very much, Fritz, for letting us know. The first withdrawal that we had was Willie Jobard on his bike, who had a crash at kilometer 13. Broke a bone, and he had to be carried off. So here's a guy who spent a year of hard graft, of looking for the money, getting the support together, all super excited, and barely gets going, has a crash, and is out of Dakar. The other very, very sad thing, and for those of you who, we've got the World Endurance Championship coming to South Africa. Fire in motorsport is never a nice thing. And this is the remains of Romain Dumas at kilometer number 65. And these things burn, the heat is intense. And you wonder why the organizers are so intent on safety equipment, and in particular, the overalls and the fire-resistant overall. That's a before picture. We've seen the after pictures. Beautiful carbon fiber vehicle. That's Romain Dumas. Now, you will know him from World Endurance Championship. Absolutely fantastic Frenchman. Love his racing in cars. So that was very, very
By the
sad.
way, did you know that he actually built that buggy himself? It's not coming out of something there. So him and his guys got together and they built this
Gary,
themselves.
it looks like a beautiful, beautiful book. Anyway, it is no more, sadly. What are they doing right now? It's about resting and it's about eating. I think, talking about eating, that just perhaps we've got a story about Kirsten Landman and eating. So we're going to, and you will, from in other endurance races, Comrades Marathon, Tour de France, these sort of things, eating on the go is important. So let's have a listen to Kirsty as she talks us through her eating on the go during today's stage.
Going through my food. Today was a good day because I got to see how much food I need. When we can eat, when we can't eat. Obviously, you can't really eat in the special; it's really long. We have neutralization in between in the special, which gives you enough time to quickly prep your goggles and stuff, so I can eat then. So I'm figuring it all out now with how much food I need to take, because this morning I had enough food to feed a small country. So had too much, which is cool. Rather have too much and too little. Also, when to what I need, how much water I need to carry. So just a breakdown so you can see what I race with. These are delicious, just actually baby food. It's just fruit, purified fruit, strawberry and banana flavor. I take it before the special. Goes down very smooth, it's liquid, and I don't have to sit there and it's hard to swallow. The nuts I had in my neutralization, which are delicious. Fruit nuts with cranberries, almonds and raisins, high energy. And then at the end of the special, nothing like some South African biltong, which was good to have. Me and Graham were chomping on it today. And then, of course, some food bars, and then necessities, the 32 GI cramp stop stuff is world best for me. I didn't need it today, but I do carry it on me when I do feel the onset of cramp. When you will start feeling that too.
Well, there's a whole lot of stuff. We like swans or ducks.
Ducks.
Calm and peaceful on the top, pedaling like hell in the background. Love how everything's all in its little bags. Got to keep the sand out, because you can imagine having your biltong, and in your biltong you've got some sand that can be. There's another South African word to describe it, but apparently this is a family show, and we've got to behave. So you got a comment there from somebody about...
Yeah, Jan Stradum just says, thanks guys, enjoying the show. Just get the trommel sorted. Laugh, laugh.
Everybody knows a bloody trommel. Those, yeah, absolutely magnificent. I'll tell you what, I've seen these guys when they get off their bikes. Today not so much, because they're still fresh. They still got their reserves. But after sort of 10 days on the go, and when you see a guy just get off the bike and almost walk robotically, and they know they programmed to eat, because if you do, whatever you eat tonight, it will give you the fuel, give your body the fuel for tomorrow. And if you skip and you don't eat properly tonight, for sure you will feel it tomorrow. So tomorrow we will be back on YouTube again, and I'm really looking forward to it. In the meantime, tomorrow, just to recap, Al-Waji to Neom, 393 kilos. They are going inland up a little bit, and they only go to 2,000 meters altitude, which is just a little bit higher than Joburg. And those altitudes are important because there's a level, an equalization formula between, and I'm talking specifically
Yeah.
on the car side of it. And on the car side of it, you've got the turbo diesel mini brigade, and you've got the naturally aspirated Toyota brigade. And in years gone by, the higher up you go, the normally aspirated cars suffer a whole lot more. And this year, it's considered a low altitude event, so there's not much change on the restrictor. That's a wrap, and that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining us. We will be back tomorrow, Monday, at 18 o'clock. We will have our technical guys look at some of the issues, and we've got some very, very interesting people lined up, and we will try and talk to them. Thank you very much for joining Gary and I on Raceday.live. Let your friends know about it. Remember to press the little bell, the alarm clock, so that when we go live tomorrow, it will automatically remind you. That's it. We're out of here. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Big thanks
One
first
more
before
thing.
we go. Yes,
Yeah.
Gary. Just
do
one more
not
thing.
do not forget to subscribe to the channel, because if you subscribe, as we go live, you will get notified about it quite immediately, as well as the little bell which tells you we're going live.
There you go. Big shout out to Henk and Fritz and the rest of the catering, legal and decorating department. Guys, you've been a great help. We can't do this without you. Thanks for watching. With that, cheers.